Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Spawncast episode 223. We're missing a couple of people here because we had to pre-record this midway through the week, mostly because I won't be around this weekend, but we still wanted to do an episode. So this will go up on the channel at some point throughout the day, and you guys can catch up with there. We'll be live and back in action next weekend. We're missing a few people. Like I said, MVG, Nate, Jordan, and Misclick may pop in here midway through the recording here, but people who are here, we have Max, Dreamcast guy. How's it going, Max?
Happy day. Ready to dig into that OLED Nintendo Switch, the hotness.
Yes, we'll be going over that. We have Evan. How's it going, Evan?
It's going all right.
Have Evan here. We got OJ, Player Essence.
Good to be here.
And we have Sean, RGT85. How's it going, Sean?
Couldn't sleep last night, and I didn't go to sleep till like 5 a.m. But before then, I took like some antihistamines so I could fall asleep and some melatonin, which never works on me. And evidently at 3 a.m, I bought a copy of Scarface complete in box on the Wii for like $40.
Did you just like, you just bought it without realizing? Like,
yeah. I guess looking at my YouTube viewing history, I was looking up videos of the game, and I guess I was just like half asleep, like looking at videos of the game, and I was like, I don't own this, I want to buy it. Like I 100%ed it back in the day on my original Xbox, but I don't know, I guess I just wanted it again.
And Miss Click just popped in during introduction, so we have Click here. Click, how's it going?
Hi. Good. How are you guys?
Good to have Click here. So we have a bunch of things to go over. We also have a couple of Discord questions that we'll go through, most talking about that Switch OLED model. We'll talk about Japan Studios being removed from Sony's website. And we'll talk about Assassin's Creed now going live service based, apparently, according to some reports. So, Evan, do we want to start with a Discord question?
What is a game that you love the most that took you the longest to get into?
Oh, it took the longest to get into.
I think Final Fantasy 12. That weird auto combat system, and the fact that it wasn't standard turn-based. That's one of those games that took me hours, and then once it clicked, I was like, okay, this is for me.
I'm gonna say Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core, mostly because it was kind of a strange like roulette thing that they would do, and I was like, I don't know about this, and I'm playing it, and I'm like, you know what? After several hours, it's like this is actually cool. This works, and then of course the game itself with the story and everything was awesome. So
you know a game that is kind of slow to start out with, and you think it's just the same thing, but it's awesome. I think Lost Odyssey.
Yeah,
like Lost Odyssey. It's so slow because it's like 10,000 discs. You know, it just builds up so slow. But when you start getting into like who the character is, the stories, how long he's been alive, and all that, it really just, you say wow, like you say, and by the time that you're done, 80, 90 hours, 100, you're like, this is one of the greatest JRPGs of all time. So it took me until like disc 2 or 3 for me to really start.
I feel like there are a lot of people who just put that game down the first disc. They didn't even get through that, you know, because it is a slower starting game, but once you really get moving, it is very, very good. Absolutely. I feel like there are gonna be a lot of people who also say Death Stranding as well, now that I'm thinking of it.
Yeah. I would say Shenmue, because like, you didn't really quite know what to expect with it, and like the first little bit of the game, you know, there's a lot to take in, the time system, but once you finally get into like the more open part of the game, it's like, oh wow, this is, well, at least at the time it was like, oh wow, this is crazy, it's so different.
I think for me, actually had to be Xenoblade Chronicles.
Okay.
Yeah, flat out. But also because like when you think you're getting towards like the end of the game, it's only like the halfway point, and you're like, oh,
keeps going.
Yeah,
cool.
It just keeps rolling.
And then it's just like Pandora's box just kind of opens, and all this other stuff gets added in, and you're like, okay, I'm ready to go, you know, by that point. So
okay, let's talk about this Switch OLED model. There was a lot of reports leading up to it. The Switch Pro, the Switch 4K, the new Nintendo Switch, the Super Switch. Instead, they went with Nintendo Switch (OLED model) (). And
it's your fault. It's my fault. We are the reason. It's the
Knicks' fault.
Evidently,
blaming the Knicks.
The Knicks, you know, Leon Rose. It's Leon Rose's fault. You know, it's a damn shame.
So this was just like out of nowhere in the morning. I mean, Nintendo's done that with a lot of their announcements. They did with the Switch Lite, where they just like, here it is. There's the new Switch for the holidays.
6 a.m. for me.
Yeah.
6 a.m. I was only up because I'm stupid. Okay.
Yep. So
It's
they just dropped it on YouTube, dropped it on Twitter, and just kind of moved along from there. There were a lot of questions being asked back and forth from press because there were a lot of questions with this device. But it's coming out October 8th. It is $349.99. So it's $50 more than the current hybrid Switch. And a 7-inch OLED display, wider stand that has more adjustable angles, a built-in wired LAN port, 64 gigabytes of internal storage, enhanced audio, and an all-new dock to check out. But it does appear that it is the same Switch, essentially, just with an OLED display, no enhanced internals when it comes to performance or any of that. And that sent the internet into a whole thing at that point when we realized that this is a $50 more expensive Switch without any actual like substantial improvement when it comes to playing the games, especially in docked mode.
Yep, those Joy-Cons are still going to be drifting like Fast and the Furious, baby. There ain't no upgrades at all.
I really wasn't expecting. I think Nintendo's taking these Joy-Cons to the end of the generation. I just think that's just how it is. They'd have to do, I think, a substantial redesign of the Joy-Con to fix it, and I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just kind of playing dumb a bit right now. They're dealing with a class action lawsuit, and maybe they might even feel like, hey, if we redesign this thing, we're admitting fault, so we're not touching it right now. We'll see everyone next generation.
Yeah, it's still, I think that's the weirdest part to me is that I think in general, I'm buying it. I'm sure we're all buying it. It's a better screen on a Switch that we all love already. But the lack of a Joy-Con upgrade is the weirdest thing to me. Like, especially, I 100% thought that it at least add a D-pad. I mean, I'm dumb, but I 100% thought we'd at least see a D-pad. So the fact that it's the exact same Joy-Cons on a bigger screen was very strange.
Yes, because they introduced white Joy-Cons here. So you feel like they could have been like, hey, here's a D-pad, and we're gonna sell these separately too. And everyone would be like, it has a D-pad, I guess I'll buy that too. All right, I guess. Even if you don't want the Switch, you would probably go out looking for the Joy-Cons at least to get the D-pad. Because they did introduce the dock. Like, the dock is new. I think there's still some information we got to find out about it when it comes to some of the HDMI port and some other things on that people are asking questions about. But I mean, we have a new dock. There's a new Switch here. The body has changed a little bit with that stand. So it's odd that they were just like, yeah, same Joy-Cons, just make them white, I guess. It would have been nice to see a change there.
The whole system to me is weird. Like, even the trailer itself was weird to me because like half of the trailer was like telling you about what it was, the OLED screen and all that stuff. Then they show the dock. And then they show docked footage, like people playing it in docked mode. And it's like, well, why are you showing me this? Like, if you haven't done anything, why are you showing me this? Like, I didn't understand. Like, as I was watching the initial trailer, because like I'm usually not up at like 9 a.m, but like my stomach was messed up.
Why were you, Sean? Why were you awake at 9 a.m?
Man, I had a whole
fighting back.
I had a whole bag of Starburst, man, the night before, and it was bad. And I woke up at like 8 and was just like crapping my brains out. And like it was 9, and I was gonna lay back down in bed, and my phone just started blowing up, and I was like, "What's going on?" And like people were telling me. So I happened to be up for it.
Real quick, bro. That's a lot of work to eat a whole bag because you got to unwrap each one of them. So the fact that you sat there and unwrapped
everything.
If you're
I quit
if
after
you're
like
doing
4 or 5.
something and you're not paying attention, you eat them basically blacked out. Like he probably didn't even know he ate the bag.
It's a little freaking pack. You got to go.
But they were the fave reds too, so it was all the good colors. You didn't have to worry about like the stupid yellows and shit. So I was just like,
get tired. My jaw gets tired. I get tired. I'm like out after 4 or 5.
The idea of going to this Starburst haze. I love the idea of blacking out on candy.
But yeah, it was such a weird trailer. Like as I'm watching it, I'm expecting them to say something about the system in docked mode, whether it was going to be incremental or not. And like the images that they showed, which I'm sure that they were superimposed, but you could make a case that it looked a little sharper than normal, when they're like sitting there playing it in dock mode on their TV. I was just expecting to see like that 4K, and then it never came, and I was like,
it looked like they were building up to when they drop it in the dock, kinda is the idea they were showing us. Like, look at this OLED screen, and everyone's thinking, okay, this is the 4K Switch. They're gonna walk over to the dock and drop it, and it's just gonna say 4K. And it just never happened. They were just like, all right, let's play Ring Fit Adventure. That was kind of it.
I think this is genuinely Nintendo's way of just trying to get even more new Switch owners. This is going to be the system that if you have a day one OG Switch and you haven't bought all the other editions like me, it's a lot more appealing versus someone who might have got the Animal Crossing or the Mario or the Pokemon along the way. This probably, unless you're wanting the specific aesthetic or you're wanting the new look, or the OLED, if you're really a handheld player, that's going to be the main draw for you. I think Nintendo is just wanting to update something, keep it fresh, so it's not, you know, a 5-year-old model or system itself when new people are looking at it like, oh, that's 5 years old, you know, I'll just wait. This is like their way of keeping it up to date. This is a 2021 look for us. This is the model. And to be honest, a lot of people aren't going to be inspired to get it if you have a Switch that you're happy with. And that's fine. I think Nintendo, this is, like we said, this is their way of milking the cow. Whether we wish they would or not. I mean, after the Wii U era, I think they'd be dumb not to a little bit. But flat out, like, it's going to come down to handheld players. They're showing things in the dock because they know this is a lot of people's first experience with the Switch in general, and they want to show that capability. For us who are reoccurring, of course, we wish we could have saw that 4K, and we're wondering, why would you show us if it's nothing different and it's just for the handheld? Newcomers, people who haven't had the Switch before, they're not going to know a difference. So they're going to kind of cover their bases with that commercial, show us everything we've already seen before, but many people might not. It's frustrating, but also at the same time, like, it is for a new demographic in a way. Like, bring those new people in. They're going to try to bring as many newcomers in general and get that install base even higher up.
I want to put out a conspiracy theory. I still think that this thing was going to be called the new Nintendo Switch until like the 11th hour, because that whole trailer felt like new Nintendo Switch to me. The fact that they were showing all these games that are hopefully coming out next year and looking good and showing people like having fun with all these games that are about to come out. I felt like that trailer originally was set in this tone of like, here's the next generation of Switch. Here's what to get excited for next. It felt like it was going to be, you know, have that new on there, and at the last minute they're like, just call it the OLED.
Well, if they had called it new Nintendo Switch, wouldn't we be more upset because it's not really like different? I feel like more people would
after
be
the
upset.
3DS mess and after the new 3DS did it, I figured they just do it.
Here's what I think. I think what's going to happen is they have it set up on their website as Nintendo Switch, and then it's just parentheses OLED model.
Yeah.
I think by next year, it's just going to be Nintendo Switch. I don't even think the parentheses are going to be in there anymore because it's going to replace the current red box Switch. Yeah. So that's why it's in parentheses right now, to make it look different on the website. And then we'll talk about some other revision down the line, I'm sure. But
will we?
Phase out. Or maybe we're going next gen. I don't know. You know what? Maybe Nintendo do something weird and they'll just release a box, and that's the 4K Switch. It's just a little console.
And
there you go.
And that's something I want to bring up, is that, you know, when you look at, there's been incremental, you know, from the first Nintendo Switch to the Nintendo Switch that released with a better battery life. I mean, that was for handheld mode. You also had the Nintendo Switch Lite that released, which is for handheld mode. And now we have the Nintendo Switch OLED, which is for handheld mode. Yeah. It's like, shit, man. Like, there's people that like to play it dock too.
Just give us that console. Just give us the console. That's fine. Just go all dock mode here.
It really sucks though, because you also have to think like a lot of their demographic is going to be in Japan, and a lot of people play it mainly handheld in Japan. So I think that
But they have those options already, though. They have multiple options.
If they want the better screen, right? I think if the Switch Lite had the better screen, I could understand. Like, obviously, I feel the same, but because I don't really play handheld. I play like 3 games handheld, and that's it. Most of the time, it's always docked. I would love an up-res docked experience. Believe me, I'm with you 1,000% on that. But a lot of their demographic, unfortunately, it's literally like that's where they are, is Japan. Like I wouldn't put it past them if that is like their main priority to kind of appease that interest first and then kind of work on the Western standard later. I wouldn't be surprised if they're kind of just like, they're going to complain about what they complain about in the West, and then we'll bring it to them when we bring it to them. Nintendo of America will do damage control regardless. I feel like that's where we're at.
I feel like you're not wrong. Oh, sorry, OJ.
Go ahead.
I feel like you're not wrong about them catering to Japan with this system, but I think they need to get over that mindset, because
I'm not disagreeing with that at all.
Because I mean, let's be realistic. Like, where the system sells best is the United States and in Europe, not in Japan. Like, pulling up some stats here, which I just did real quick: 32 mil in North America, 22 mil in Europe, 20 mil in Japan. Like, you know, like. and statistically speaking, I'm sure there's more people in the United States and in Europe than in Japan. So, reaching out to these newcomers that you want to get in, I don't know. It's sort of that outdated Nintendo mentality that they unfortunately just have with some things, because I mean, they are at the end of the day a Japanese company. Nintendo of America isn't real. It's marketing is all they do. So,
I'm most curious if they're looking at play data and actually looking at how much people are playing it in handheld. I wonder if they can see that, because
I can.
I was talking to a friend of mine recently. A friend of mine in the military was telling me she just passed 1,000 hours in Animal Crossing. She sits in this military base. She has never put it in a dock ever since she's bought her Switch. It's a standard model day one Switch, never put in the dock. And she was like, yeah, I like the OLED model because I'm never, ever, ever going to put it in the dock. Of course, I'm going to buy that model. If they released a 4K Switch, I'd not buy it. You know
what's really weird about this is we have this new dock, right? I'm not really sure why we have a new dock. Like,
looks clean.
Gotta
It
get that
changes it up a little
Ethernet.
bit.
but why?
it looks good. I'm buying it.
It's compatible with the old dock, according to Nintendo, and they probably could have just released this thing without the dock, because that it's all geared towards the handheld side of things.
I know what you're hinting at.
I kind of think there might be something different with this dock, is what I'll say, but I got to see more info on that one.
I think it's just the dock with the Ethernet port and the removal of the USB. I don't think there's anything different with. I don't think it's going to do anything.
I also think they know, like, if we invert the colors, people are going to want to buy it because it's different.
I don't think the dock's going to do anything different with this Switch, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so you're saying that the next one I
think this dock is going to exist for the rest of the generation. They may have done something with the dock to make sure it lasts the rest of the generation.
I see. So you're saying like a supplemental computing device?
I think the HDMI itself has been moved up to something like HDMI 2.
Okay,
Wouldn't they have listed that already?
No, it was at like 1.4, so it would have had hard time with certain elements of 4K, and HDR wouldn't have been possible.
But they wouldn't have listed that it was a new HDMI port on the website?
No, we would find out through like FCC filings and other things.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because this will still do 1080p, but it then also would have the potential to be like 4K. But and that way they can use this dock for like the next 5-6 years or whatever, and more future proofing it. That's kind of what I'm getting at with this dock, because otherwise I'm like, I don't really know why they need the dock. But they technically discontinued the old one a while ago. I remember, Sean, we were talking about that forever ago, that like the old dock was really difficult to find. So I don't know. I'll have to see more about this dock when it drops, is what I'll say. We'll take a close look, just see if there's anything to it.
Think it'd be really nice, John, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Well, no, I don't think this thing's going to do 4K or anything like that, but it's just
You know what I would have liked for this, and obviously they're not going to do this. I have a video talking about it later, which some of you guys might have watched or not already. But if they would have made this just the new standard model pricing, and then just drop the other models, or drop just the one model, so that'd be the $299, drop that to $250, and then just make this $299, I think people would have been like, all right, cool. Like I don't think it would have been any situation at all.
Yeah.
Like, okay, cool. You know,
you think the price raise?
So it'd be $200, $250, $300 for the 3 models.
I see what you're saying, and I agree with that. I think some of the backlash that people are having is the fact that this is,
$50.
It's $50 more. It's essentially being somewhat marketed as a premium system, but it's only premium if you're a handheld player. So it's like I will reap the benefits of this because I like to, have something on TV and then just sit there and play in handheld mode.
OLED screen is a lot nicer than what we have now.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, but technically the Ethernet port is being included in, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think I paid $20 for an Ethernet converter from USB to Ethernet. It's about $20 anyway.
About $20 for it, yeah.
How much more expensive is an OLED screen to put into a system versus?
Well, that's the interesting thing about this. It probably wasn't that much more expensive based on the information we have. I feel like the OLED the pricing between the OLED and the LCD they were using was pretty small, if any. Like it seemed like they were waiting for a while, and this just kind of happened to be there, and they were like, all right, let's use it.
Well, and all the other components have gotten so much cheaper. This is something other people have pointed out, which is how the PlayStation 4 just kept getting cheaper and cheaper and cheaper. This system just never got cheaper, even though they're cheaper to produce. So they easily could have sold this for $300 for a big profit, but they know that Nintendo people will pay $350 for that extra.
Well, I'm also looking at like, I mean, there's all this talk in the world about like inflation, all these different things happening right now, and I'm thinking Nintendo's like, how can we raise the price of the Switch rather than usually they go in the other direction this time, but they've never run a Black Friday sale where they lowered the Switch price. Even they usually just throw something in it instead.
Can I give you guys a from the other side, because like I used to sit in some of these meetings when I did this, and when you have a product. This is not what I think. This is just from their side. When you have a product that is the best-selling product in the world for years, there's no way in hell that you're going to say, let's lower something that we're adding. It's just not going to come up. They're going to say, how can we get more? They're always going to say, how can we get more? Or we substitute, or how can we get more? But it's a bunch of suits in a room. They're like, hey, $300, people think that this is great. We have people scalping the system sometimes that even make more, and people are buying it for 400 or something like that. We can definitely do this with a big game with Metroid Dread and get 350 for it when people are paying 400 for their Animal Crossing or something like that, you know? So
big
also, hey, Nintendo's on board. You know what the game we saw right away? Metroid Dread. You know what, Sean? This might be a Metroid Dread system. You know what? I think it might be.
You're trying to tell me, Sean, that they didn't get a big marketing bump from having Metroid Dread and the same aesthetics with the colors? Come on.
I mean, people would just be like, well, why are they playing some weird 2D indie game?
We've been looking for that. We've been looking for that Metroid Dread, that Metroid Dread controversy, right? Here it is.
Right.
I mean, I thought when I saw Metroid Dread get featured in there, I thought it was the coolest thing to get to see Metroid finally on a Switch kind of commercial, like featuring a new console. I was like, man, we're in the timeline where Metroid's coming back.
Yep.
But also, I was part of me was just like, man, if they had added like in like, because like they have the red and blue version still too, and I was like, well, I guess Samus's color, so it makes sense. It's got the white suit with the red and the blue. Just add some green in there. I think that would have been really cool. But it is what it is. But also, yeah, I was very happy they put a Splat 3 in there too, and they actually showed some Splatoon 3 gameplay as well with a couple of the weapons we were curious about. But they featured that for the Ethernet port. So Smash and Splatoon players, you better get a 100-foot Ethernet cable, and you better use it.
So that you can still play against the people on the light sitting in a McDonald's. Like that's
no one cares. Why does this game disconnect? God,
well, to be fair, you're supposed to play this in handheld. That's why it's got the OLED screen on it.
Hey, you can run an Ethernet cable to your Switch. You just need a USB-C Ethernet adapter. Just hang it off there. You're fine.
My Wi-Fi works good because I'm a big boy and I have my own router and everything. A lot of these kids are sharing. They've got their sister on Netflix. They've got their brother watching. That's how it is. And it's going to jack your connection up. That's just,
hey, Sakurai told all of you people, you need to start using wire connections. All right. Sakurai said it himself. All right. So
nobody has the router in their room.
If Sakurai can't get people to do it, I don't know who can.
Mom's not going to let you run a cable.
We used to run cables across the house.
Hold up. If parents will be letting them make TikToks and freaking do all that stuff, I'm sure they could run a cable throughout the house.
Daughter ain't running nothing through my house. She better just use Wi-Fi and deal with it.
I'll be honest. Most of the time, when people get mad at me on Twitter, when Nintendo people get mad at me on Twitter, it's a 36-year-old man who has not felt sunlight in years. Those people are at least connecting with Ethernet.
Who attacked here?
Can you stop attacking RGT and Nate? And he's not even here to defend himself.
It's the Ballon Bash. I got to gang up on him.
Goodness gracious.
Was anyone really excited? Does anyone use it in tabletop mode?
No.
No.
I did with my daughter a little bit, but not as much anymore.
Okay. Well, it has adjustable stand.
To be fair, I have seen tabletop mode used quite often with my cousin's kids, because like when we all go over to grandma's house or whatever, they'll sit there and put it in tabletop mode, and they will play Smash against each other. So I have seen it utilized, and I think one time, what did we play? We played I played something with them where
I've done Mario Kart. I did Mario Kart tabletop like once.
Okay. All right. I didn't really know how many people use tabletop mode like that. So I mean, it was a big deal about it. It's a big adjustable stand, nice surface looking stand. So it's good. I still
did you see the ooh, it's thundering. That's ugly. Did you see the like all the memes? Like there was the one where it was like the Malibu Stacy.
Oh yeah.
And did you see the one where it was when Homer redesigns the plant and he's like, well, I changed the color of the Nintendo Switch. And we added a little base here to make it better. Like when he didn't do anything to adjust to the plant, and then Mr. Burns gave him the award because it was a contest for kids. Those were funny as hell.
Some of the memes were pretty good for it. I got to see the build quality of this device too, because it could be. It's possible that the plastics they use maybe are a little better even on it. So I mean, I'll be picking it up. Obviously, I feel like most of us probably will be. So
well, it's coming out the first day of too many games.
it is. It's coming out on the 8th. So I'm gonna be picking
Same
it
day as
up.
Metroid.
We could technically, we could try tabletop too if we
I
wanted
was gonna
to.
say, so here's
There
what
we
we
go.
gotta do. All of us get together and we all go to GameStop and wait outside it
Just
like weirdos and buy it all.
Do you,
All
well,
at
do you
the same
think they have
time.
outside of pre-orders? Won't we have to go to Walmart or something?
There's a Target right across from the convention center there.
Let's just all of us all at the same time. Just go.
There we
Like,
go.
do you know who we
Make it
are?
happen.
We're the Spawncast. Give us
We're
the
the
switches.
mafia.
Pick that
We're the
up and-
mafia.
pick that up and pick up Metroid Dread all at the same time. There we go.
Yes.
There we go. So I mean, we'll see when it comes out how it feels and everything, how the OLED looks based on what the Vita looked like, like a decade ago. I have a feeling it's gonna look pretty good for a Samsung OLED.
Well,
and
Vita
yeah,
was only 540p max, right?
yes, it was 540p.
544p.
Yeah,
Whoa.
yeah. So,
Missed
but
4.
screen's a bit smaller, obviously. So it, that was the thing with the Vita. It worked to hide a lot of that, the resolution stuff.
These Vita comparisons are stupid, though. Can we just sit there and say these Vita comparisons are these people?
Yeah.
They're linking models that aren't even the OLED Vita.
Oh gosh,
That was funny. I saw that.
really?
Aren't the OLED Vita?
I
And
saw
then-
that
Oh,
one.
no.
And then they're ignoring proprietary memory cards. They're ignoring PS Vita TV if you want to play your games on the TV. Like, I have no problem with the price stuff. I get it. I'm with you guys. But this whole PS Vita thing needs to die. This revisionist stuff, just please die.
What do you
Stop-
think?
stop-
Do you think it's
stop
just
trying
the?
to act like
I
PS
mean, I
Vita.
feel like it's just the disappointment because this isn't really anything for docked users. I feel like that's the
Mhm.
biggest part. Is just
That's
people are
fine,
just
but
disappointed.
you don't need to lie or
Yeah.
to create something to aid your point.
Well,
Just say
yeah.
you don't like
Twitter.
it and move on.
That's
you don't
what
need
Twitter
to lie
does,
and make
OJ.
misinformation to prove your
OJ.
point.
It's Twitter. You might as well just relabel it as something else.
I just
Yeah,
mean
At
it.
least use the right model. Okay, how about this? Use the right model that has the OLED. Okay,
I just mean
do
it.
that for me.
I just mean in general with the reactions online. It did seem to be a lot of people who are very underwhelmed by this announcement, mostly because of it not doing anything in docked mode. So
Well,
I did see one viral tweet where someone said "Oh, I'm tired to watch the new Nintendo Switch trailer," and then the next tweet says, "I am whelmed." It's like, yeah,
I am.
it just
Did
felt
you
like they
guys-
were building up to something in that trailer the whole time, and then it's just
Yep.
anticlimactic.
Did you guys see the dislike on Nintendo's page? It actually seems people actually like it.
Oh, yeah, it's over. It's over 90%.
Oh, I think
What?
it's gonna. I think people are gonna buy it. Obviously,
It's gonna do well.
I
but,
think it'll be all right.
I mean,
The-
again, it's not going to come down to the person who was wanting all of the giant specs. Again, it's going to come down to a broader base, a lot more casual, but a lot more of the newcomer base. But I think this, to me, just says that we're probably not gonna. My favorite term I've been using is beefier insides, obviously, until they're next.
I'm
step.
really hoping. I'm really hoping we have like an upgraded Switch for performance by the time Breath of the Wild 2 and Metroid Prime 4 come out.
you-
Those are the two
you-
games
I
that I
feel
would
like
like
it's
to see
needed.
for.
Okay,
Yeah.
so
Did you
that's
see,
kinda
did you
where
see
I'm
that?
sitting.
Did you see that Ease 9 footage on the Switch?
Yeah.
Oh,
I can
no.
talk about this now that Monster Hunter Stories 2 is it comes out tomorrow. I've already played it. It has a little bit of frame rate issues occasionally in town where there's multiple NPCs. Sometimes it'll lower the frame rate of all the characters, but the backgrounds will look normal and stuff like that where I'm like, I wish I had a Switch Pro.
Mm.
Okay, but so John, what you're telling me with that ultimatum though of Breath of the Wild 2 is either Breath of the Wild 2 is getting delayed, or somehow there's a newer Switch model coming.
I mean,
out by the end
would
of
it
next
shock you
year.
if Breath of the Wild 2 came out in 2023?
I think it's going to be delayed, but
Oh.
that's just me.
I mean, it could
So-
come out holiday 2022, and then hey, look, here's some enhanced Switch thing that we put out next to it. I mean,
Do you-
if I was going to launch that, I'd launch it next to a big title like Breath of the Wild 2 or
Do you
something.
think people would get more upset though if Nintendo launches this incremental little
I think
update?
people will
and
get
then a
upset no
beefier
matter what
size?
happens. Well,
I mean, you're
the,
right.
if they do this and then that one, I don't know. A lot of people right now are like, I'll just bypass this one if I'm a docked user. And
I
I mean,
think a lot
yeah,
of people
I would too.
I think a lot
Plus,
of
I
people
mean-
should skip this model for sure. I'm going to tell people right now, if you're
Yeah.
on the fence about it, just wait.
If I wasn't doing get this channel and covering it and all this, I would
We're in a
probably
different
bypass
game.
it too. I'd bypass it completely. I'd be like,
Yes.
oh well, I'll wait and see what's after this one.
Yes.
So that's kind of. I mean, honestly, I probably would have bypassed the Switch Lite as well because it's like
I wouldn't have bought a Switch Lite. I bought a Switch Lite. I bought the stupid red Mario Switch. Like, you know how many times I've used that? A whopping 0.
Oh,
Yeah.
I don't even think I turned that bitch on. I just got it. I unboxed it. And I was like, all right, cool. So worst case.
The dock's cool. It's a red dock. It's cool.
See, I got a little cheesy dock, little third-party dock, because my normal dock stopped working.
But you have the red dock.
Mario.
Yeah, but this one's smaller. It's nice.
Oh.
Okay.
But it's a small dock.
It's not an official Nintendo one, but
is that like I'm starting to see that kind of around right now? Maybe it's because of people being. Is that like insignia? What is that?
it's Rocket Fish.
Interesting. Okay, rolling the dice. And so
I got another Switch. I got the red Mario Switch, so I'm good.
there you
One
go.
explodes, you got a replacement.
That maybe it's because of like the disappointment online is that people are like, well, hopefully there's another Switch coming, because we're noticing the Switch now is having some issues in different games. Even some games, for like Age of Calamity is always pointed out as being one that does chug when you're playing. And it's like, it would be nice just to get that the Switch that would work better in dock mode, now that the handheld side has been catered to multiple times now with the Switch Lite and now this OLED Switch. So maybe Nintendo is doing that next after this one, and they'll build on top of the OLED screen. That is like the Switch that I feel like, at least I would like to see. I think maybe some of you too, is like, if we have an OLED Switch and it's able to run games better and it's 4K and all of this, that would be the ultimate like Switch right now to pick up.
Well, the thing of it is, I mean, obviously, as we've seen on YouTube, we are recording this on, what's today, Thursday. The Switch OLED was announced on Tuesday. Yesterday, Wednesday, people were making Switch Pro videos. So it's like, it's never going to end. Like, I honestly feel like it's just...
I think it's because people are sold on the concept. Like, the hybrid concept works. People like it. They like the games that are on the Switch. It's like the two things that people bring up is the aging hardware, like the X1, and the online. Like, those are the two things. And it's like, well...
And I don't even
really
care
on Nintendo for online, so let's
exactly.
NVIDIA.
To the point, it's like I don't care about the online right now. I just because let's be realistic, games aren't going to get simpler as we go on. Like, if they really want this to last 10 years, like they said, we're creeping up on that halfway point.
When did they say 10 years?
Isn't that what they said?
No,
they said
I think you're referring to an
7 to 8.
interview where around year 5, the guy said that this is about the halfway
the
life
halfway
cycle.
point. Okay, yeah.
Well, that was last year. He said that.
Yeah, it was in that range. Yeah,
They're looking
And then
for
he just said
they're looking
halfway.
for like 7 or 8 years, I would say.
I
out
would
of the
say
current
7 or 8.
Switch. Is
Even
where I'd
so,
place it. But that's
okay.
Yeah, that's a lot.
still several years off. Yeah.
Well, if we're gonna think, like 2-3 years into the future, right? If it's $350 right now, I don't necessarily see this price getting any cheaper. If we brought out a more powerful Switch,
it would be as much as the Xbox Series S.
Are we looking at 400?
Personally, I am 100%, and I'll go on record. I'm 100% willing to buy a $400 Switch if it actually has better resolution, solid frame rate. 100%.
If it just gives me 60 frames, like minimum
To be
for
honest,
everything, that'd
though,
be fine.
Yeah,
To be
60,
honest, though,
60.
it might not. I feel like for some reason they might not make it handheld capable.
So
I'm fine with that. I'm a slut
I'd
for
be fine with
dock
that.
mode.
too.
I play
like,
dock,
baby.
so I'm good with that.
It's Nintendo, so if they do it, all right, let's say it's still like in a handheld form factor. I bet you they just sell the system and there's no dock included. It's just the system, and it's like, this is a better docked one. You guys already got the new dock, right? Go ahead and pick that up.
Yeah.
Power supply
I'm
sold
telling you, they would
separately.
do something like that. And you know how I know they do something like that? Because years and years ago they sold me a new 3DS XL without a power cable.
Yep, I remember that. Yep.
You guys have power cables, don't you? And you have docks too, right? Just to cut down on the price. 400, I feel like once they get over 400 with this thing, it'd be like,
I mean, if it's hitting that 4K, if it's hitting that 4K like
Nintendo would
everybody
make
wanted.
a $400.
That's what I mean. It's like,
yeah, I don't know if
that's
they do
tough,
that.
you know?
Well, would they eventually lower the OLED model? I don't see them necessarily lowering that back down
I
to
think
the
they would
300.
wait. They would wait till like a couple more years. I would say
Another
this year, they finish up this
350.
year.
I don't. Would they announce a more powerful one than the OLED at 350 as well?
No. What they would do is, if they did that, they would announce, like, if they were going to replace the OLED, Like just they would announce the new one, and it would actually do what I said that they should have done with this one. It would replace it. That's what I would think if they're going to do more powerful one. But I don't think a more powerful Switch, like, then how does that get in relation to the next Switch? And then like, how does that go? And then like, what about the Switch 2? So this is getting to the point where now we're talking about like 2 or 3 or 4 different 4 different models or whatever.
But maybe that's what they want to do. Maybe every 2 years they want to refresh it. Maybe they don't really care as much about generations anymore, and they're just like, every 2 years we'll refresh the Switch, and it'll go on for 20 years.
I mean,
that is, I don't know, man. That seems like that's a plan that's gonna get you in trouble later down the line.
I mean, it works for Apple though. Look at Apple.
But Apple, you talk about Nintendo fans are just stupid. They'll buy whatever. Apple fans are like times that by like 50.
Yes.
Or no, times that by
Nintendo, and Nintendo's like, how do we get in on that?
Exactly. They buy $1,000 phones every year. There's no way Nintendo can even get anywhere near close to that. I mean, Apple's $1 trillion company.
I think they're trying to tap into that mentality though, and I feel like the diehard Nintendo fan base is so large it blows my mind. Like I looked at Reddit the other day, and the post for the trailer for the OLED Switch had 40,000 upvotes, 11,000 comments, and 99% were overwhelmingly positive, saying, I built a bot that'll tell us when we can do pre-orders. I'm going to get at least 3 so I can keep 2 in the box.
You should have told them to go to hell.
Well, they must have picked up a bunch of Nintendo people recently, because that way you could have used them.
Yeah, exactly. Well, but I think that's part of it. Is I made a video about this years ago, but I think that the biggest appeal to the Switch is that non-gamers have been turned into gamers.
I think you're right about that. Yeah.
And I think these people now, it's the only way they picture gaming. The same way back in the day, our parents used to be like, turn off that Nintendo when you're playing on the PlayStation. I think these people are like, oh, gaming and Nintendo are one of the same. So I think they're going to buy whatever Switch, no matter what.
I mean, at this point, the 360 is considered retro.
I want to die.
So... Yeah, that's the way
I also think, like, I guess, like, the hybrid nature being like, people try to underplay it and like or downplay it, and I get that like 100%. But like, believe it or not, John can attest to this. You got older guys. People try to downplay cell phones. Believe it or not. People tried to downplay cell phones. Oh, I don't really need that. I can just make calls from home. People legitimately try to, and people try to downplay tablets too. When tablets first came out, they're like, it's just you don't need that either. So I think I do see some, not everybody, some try to say, oh, well, who cares about portable?
It's added value.
But that for people is big. The fact that they can have a screen, especially if you live in a house with other people, like it's cool to have your own screen.
Well,
so
the concept has to be, for me has to be what's selling the Switch, because like the Wii U, they brought Wii U games to the Switch and they're selling better like on the Switch, and like the game quality was still good on the Wii U. It's just like the Switch is obviously like the end goal with what they were trying to do with the Wii U, considering they had like the tablet off of the screen and all, like it's the concept I think that's really making the Switch successful right now, and Nintendo is continuing to build on that with this new OLED device. So we'll see if they decide to iterate it again in a year or 2. I mean, Sean said there's already talks about 2022. So like I say with the Switch Pro rumors, there's always next year, right?
All right, John, we haven't gotten your thoughts. John, what's happening? Switch Pro 2022, Breath of the Wild edition.
Hey, I think if you're going to launch new hardware, you put it next to a good game. And hey, you know what? They decided to pick the game of the year here coming up, right? The one that's going to crack all-time highs, that being Metroid Dread. Right, Sean? So, they put the OLED screen next to it. All right, because that was the only way to sell the OLED screen, is to put it next to Metroid Dread.
I'm telling you, did you see the Metroid Dread fans out there like, I'm getting this?
Oh,
I'm getting this?
It was smart. It was smart.
It was smart. That was great marketing.
All 6 Metroid fans.
Sean's Nintendo must have heard that Sean's gonna play Balan soon. They just wanted to just make sure, just wanted to make sure.
They talked about it some. Well, they talked about it some more. They showed off a new weapon and everything on Twitter.
I still feel very confident.
Maybe they put out that new Switch, the whatever the next iteration is. They put it next to Breath of the Wild 2, and they slap some gold Joy-Cons on there. There you go. Clicks buying 3.
I feel like there'll be sky blue Joy-Cons or something.
Something like that, yeah.
Honestly, I don't know. I genuinely think Breath of the Wild, and I'm saying this, believe me, if I'm wrong, I will be incredibly happy. I think Breath of the Wild is going to stay, at least as it is right now, on this console. And that we probably wouldn't see another game that we haven't heard from, like Bayonetta or Metroid. maybe that comes out along with a new Switch. Those are
Man,
more neat
I hope we have
titles,
it by
though.
Metroid. I hope we have it by Metroid Prime 4 because I feel like that's a game that that's got a lot riding on it, and it'd be nice if it showed up on something.
Well,
that,
especially as an FPS, that's
Yeah.
gonna be that demands a little bit
Metroid
differently
Prime-
of performance than a third person.
I mean, we're looking for 60 frames out of Prime. We'd be looking for 60 frames out of Prime 4, wouldn't we?
Mhm.
So
You'd almost need to in order to be accurate at the game and to not get dizzy. First person shooters at low frame rates don't necessarily do
hey,
the
there's all 3 million of us who need Prime 4. Okay, so
best.
3 million and one, right, Sean?
Yep.
That's all we need. That's all we need.
Hey,
And
yeah,
we got another
Not wait for this game to
OLED
come
model.
out.
OLED model this holiday. That's Nintendo's hardware. So
with
like
the,
I said,
with
there's
the
always,
white color Joy-Cons, the
always
color of
next year.
Bound.
always
Be good.
next year for the people who want that Switch Pro. There you go. Color, yeah, bound. There you go. Color bound. There you go. We got another Discord question there, Evan.
Just one, and it's they're wondering if they said anything about the OLED Switch having support for Bluetooth headsets or earphones.
No, they did not. And I was
Yeah, that
disappointed
one's
about that.
Catered to the handheld user, just no Bluetooth like a handheld user would probably want.
Yeah, that's
Enhanced
unfortunate.
speakers, though,
You're still
whatever
gonna
that
have-
means.
Louder speakers, yeah. I mean, you're
Yeah.
still gonna have to buy a
It
third
is
party
interesting. Yeah,
plugins
I mean,
for Bluetooth.
I don't know. Maybe Nintendo can push a patch or something down the road. Who knows? It is odd that they haven't tried that yet, but hey, that sounds like a pro feature to me. So there you go. Bluetooth.
Would love Bluetooth.
My Vita has Bluetooth. It's very nice. Let's go to Assassin's Creed. Jordan's not here for this. I wanted to get his take on it because I think he called this a while ago. I feel
No,
like he
yeah,
mentioned
he
that
brought it
Assassin's
up,
Creed is
yeah.
going live service.
Like
Okay.
2 years ago, I think he talked about it.
He's like, yeah, Assassin's Creed is going to be this one big, hub thing they're going to do going forward, and it's going to be basically live service, is what it sounded like when it was being talked about. And here it is, Assassin's Creed Infinity, because Assassin's Creed games weren't already long enough. This one is going to be never ending, it sounds like. At least
Yeah.
it's going to be a hub, and they're just going to continue piling content into it. And I guess instead of doing like clean breaks for each Assassin's Creed game that comes out and having one team work on it and another team work on it, they're just all going to come together and collaborate and make this Assassin's Creed Infinity world.
sounds horrible.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I used to be so much more interested in Assassin's Creed back in the day, and I feel like it's when they started just making the worlds big to make them big that I started falling out of it. Like, it's like they felt like they had to put Assassin's Creed out, and it has to be a 70-hour single-player campaign experience, like storyline, and then there's another 100 hours on top of that to do everything. When Jordan told me he spent like 100 hours beating Assassin's Creed Valhalla, I couldn't believe it.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot of padding.
Mhm.
yeah,
There's a
that's-
flood warning where I am.
Well, so I think the problem is that this is good padding. I hear a lot of the super hardcore Assassin's Creed fans say that it's like 100 or 200 hours of solid content, but that's so much game. As like an adult dude who has to try and beat games, who's trying to edit videos and stuff, if I see something that takes 200 hours for a master file, that's a turnoff. And so the idea that they're going to try and do that forever, where you play the games and the DLC until the day the next one comes out, and it builds on that to the new part of the world. You're different territory next to other DLC. I don't know. That seems like too much.
I actually liked Phoenix Rising quite a bit.
Yeah.
It felt a little more like, I don't know if old school Assassin's Creed, but not like the Assassin's Creed how it is now. And I know that was more of a fun project they kind of did on the side, the Odyssey team. But I enjoyed playing through that one. I feel like more than when I was going through Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Because it had the Assassin's Creed formula, but it still felt different.
Yeah,
I
I'm not prepared to say that it's a better game necessarily. I had more fun playing it. I mean, just in general, like the production value, all the different things that went into building
Assassin's Creed
Valhalla.
is glitchy. What?
Come on, Assassin's Creed 4 Black Flag is a top
Black
25
Flag is
game
very good. Well,
today.
Assassin's Creed
That was
2
years
and
ago.
Yeah.
and
Are
Black
we
It's
Flag.
talking
still-
about now, or are we talking about the years ago? I thought you were talking about. Are we talking about now? Or are we
Well,
talking about back then? Which
I mean,
one?
even that, I'll play Black Flag now, and it's still very.
No, I'm saying like the games, like today's, like we're talking about the most recent Assassin's Creed. You don't think Immortals is just as good as the most recent ones, or if not better?
I didn't play Valhalla, so I can't.
I think
comment on
in
that.
terms of the game itself, I think Valhalla is higher quality than Phoenix Rising by a good bit going through it, but I had more fun like fun factor with Phoenix Rising. Maybe because it didn't take itself as
Silly,
seriously.
exactly.
And Valhalla was trying to be real serious about everything, and I'm like, I don't really.
I don't want to
it.
make everybody upset, so I'll stop right there.
You like Phoenix Rising more? No, I saw people who have
Phoenix
mentioned they
Rising was
liked it
good.
more.
I think if a lot of people haven't tried it, and they should definitely give it a go. My question is, when you're doing live service games like this, right? And like what the most notorious we're gonna really think about back in the day, which obviously is an MMO, but World of Warcraft, having those kind of updates and installs come in. I think it's gonna have to be each of the content is gonna have substantial drive, and like it's gonna have good content for people to want to keep buying it. But also, what's the entry barrier going to kind of be? Is it all building upon the same story? But also, if you jump in now, or if say you jump in a little bit, maybe a few installs after it's begun, is it going to be something completely different? You can jump in right in the middle, or do you need to start from the beginning and pile all of that on top and buy all these additional ones?
I feel like there are a lot of people who look at, like you're saying, like maybe Destiny 2, for example, and you see it, and you're like, look at all this stuff they've done.
Yeah,
I don't want to do that.
And then deleted.
All the stuff you feel like you have to do just to catch up with where everyone is now,
right,
can be kind of intimidating for people. Like, I just wanted to play Assassin's Creed. It's so
that's why in Bloomberg the specific title, the specific way they described it according to their sources was Fortnite style. So I think what it's probably going to be, which is what I hate the most, is I bet it's going to be you drop into it and there's going to be a thin story and a thin motivation, but there's going to be major targets, lots of side quests, so you can play it whenever you want and however you want. But I feel like it's probably going to be something where you're meant to just play it, hardcore.
In which case the live service would be closer to something like Sea of Thieves, where everything you're doing is just for cosmetic. That's it.
Yeah.
Well, what about this? What would we price this thing at? What's the pricing around this thing?
Is it free
silliness? Is it free to play?
If you're smart, it's free to play. If you're Ubisoft, it's $60 day one.
But
it's $60 plus a live service fee.
You continue to charge monthly? Do you charge like yearly? Do you charge for each expansion that goes in? How do you continue monetizing it, basically?
I think they're going to start to do a thing where it's 60 or 70 for the entry game itself. And then I think what they're going to do is they're going to tell you straight up, all right, every 3 months, there's going to be a big, gigantic update. And the update's going to be like 10 or 20 bucks. That way it keeps you on the treadmill. And then okay, if I choose to skip those updates, then the next one I buy, the next $60 game is the next country or whatever of those updates.
If they are doing Fortnite style, if you're saying like the Bloomberg article quoted, there's probably going to be a lot of stuff that's only there temporarily, and then it completely shifts and changes, and there's going to be a lot of stuff you can't get. So maybe one of the drives they're going to try to get is to have, I guess, also another big one that I've realized lately from a game I've been getting into is Valorant. When they start their new season, there's a whole bunch of items you're never going to be able to get again, so they kind of drive you to go and collect all the exclusives that you can't get anywhere else outside of this season or whatever they're going to end up calling it, and then they switch it out. So maybe that's a drive for them. I feel like that's kind of getting old at this point for a lot of people.
FOMO works so much. It's crazy.
It really does.
World of Warcraft. It's
partially FOMO, but the Fortnite method is also they want you to get through whatever battle pass they put in, because the battle pass, what you get from it, allows you to purchase the next season anyway.
The next one.
So it's just trying to force people to stay in the game, making the multiplayer feel of it really good, because then you have hundreds of people constantly playing it, thousands of people constantly playing it, because they have to.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. It's I just feel like Ubisoft is going to lean too far into the live service stuff, and there's not going to be enough time from their player base to hold everything up, because they're doing multiple Division games now. Ghost Recon sounds like it wants to go live service based, and now we see Assassin's Creed leaning into it. I mean, Watch Dogs fits the formula already too. Basically, all these Ubisoft games already fit the live service formula. So I almost wonder if they're just going to try to do that with all of them, and then
also Rainbow Six too.
Well, that continues to. Yeah, you're right. That continues to move on. So
that's why I 100% think they're going to try and do it. The Ubisoft Plus is going to become like Game Pass. There's going to be a thing where you pay $10 a month or $100 for the year, and it's going to give you access to Assassin's Creed and stuff like that. And I feel like they're going to try and do a way where they can get all their players to constantly be paying for something you're never going to actually own.
I mean, they're introducing Riders Republic. That's a live service game.
True. All I'm hearing though is all these subscription fees is people got to start writing down everything they're subscribed to, because the Lord knows, I feel like there's people like with all these subscription services coming out, like you're probably paying more than cable used to cost.
I know I am with my Amazon and my Crunchyroll and everything that I've got. I gotta check on that actually.
YouTube Premium, Twitch subs.
Yeah,
All those tier 3s you're at, OJ.
Yeah, tier 3s. That's me.
Well, hey, maybe
Only
I'm tier 3s, baby.
Oh yeah, all my
So they got
fees.
banned, and they all got canceled. So I think I'm good.
Your sub too. I mean, come
I
on.
think I'm good. I think.
I remember those. I remember to cancel.
You know
when I
what?
seen the titty.
if Ubisoft just piles up enough cash from these live services and they give us Splinter Cell, I'm completely willing to sacrifice Assassin's
Splinter
Creed
Cell-
live stream or live service.
Splinter Cell live service.
Oh,
What's next? You just jinxed
on
it.
phones.
Can we not do
Yeah.
that? Can we not?
I
This
mean,
live
if they
service
do
stuff
it-
sucks. I don't.
it does-
This live service stuff is trash. This is horrible. I don't like live service at all. I'm done because they're already putting live service stuff in single player games, and now they want to put now they want to do all this. It's like I'm tired of signing in. I'm tired of always online. Like I'm sick of it, to be honest. If you want my real
Ubisoft just getting
opinion.
started.
I'm so sick of always online. I'm so sick of live service. I don't want anything to do.
They're
with
gonna
this.
have
And I don't
multiple
even-
live services in their series. So they're gonna have a
Hopefully
couple
it's
live
good,
service
though.
for Division, and
Hopefully it's good. Hopefully people like it, enjoy
Yeah.
it. But I'm completely done. I'm checked out. I'm not even gonna try it at all. So that's just my thoughts. But everybody who wants to play it, good.
there you go. We'll see how it works out for Ubisoft. The next, I think they were mentioning this probably wasn't coming out till like 2024 or something. So they're a ways off
Quite a
with it
ways.
anyway. Yeah.
We're Skull and
Pro will
Bones.
be out by then.
Skull and Bones,
Skull and Bones,
sounds
anybody?
like that got redone or they shifted their vision on it, and I bet you it shows up as a live service.
I mean, it was already going to be a live service. It was already player
Yeah.
versus player. The question is whether or not Beyond Good and Evil 2 gets reannounced as a live service.
That's becoming a live
What's
service
that?
too.
Oh god, yeah.
It's all live services. Wait, do they need more artwork for that?
They needed music.
Or
Gotta write some
need
music. Maybe get
Oh,
some
you
3D
get
models.
Click on the drums for.
Yeah,
for
a lot of people play drums. Okay, I'm not helping with that game. Pay me something.
Yeah, right.
Ugh, boy.
I need some bread.
Let's we're done with Discord questions, right? Evan?
Yep.
All right, cool. Let's go to the final topic. That's Sony Japan Studios. It's officially done. It's over. Pulled it off the website. Make sure everyone knows that's no longer around. They did let people go, and then they also merged some of them into Team Asobi. So like that's basically their Japan Studios now. But like Sony's been shifting to the West for a while anyway, and they had already kind of talked about this before with those people leaving. And now, something that's been around with Sony since the beginning of founded in 1993, right around the time that Sony was showing up with the PlayStation, is no more. So what does everyone think about that? That's the end of an era for Sony with Japan Studios.
Sad.
Rest in
Very
pepperoni.
sad. Rest in pepperoni.
It's sad.
Very
Kind of-
sad.
I
Go
kind
ahead,
of
Clay.
feel like it's like your grandparent, and you just like walk across the street without helping them, and then they like get hit by a car or something.
Oh
Oh
man,
no!
What it
Wow.
feels like.
Is that what it feels
sounds
like?
like?
Okay,
That
that-
sounds
what
like
it
they've
feels
had
like
that
a little
happen to you.
bit.
Have you had that happen to you?
Yeah. Is this a story? Are we getting some click lore?
No, listen, I was at the red light. I just watched it happen.
all right,
I thought you were gonna be like, I was driving.
And
yeah,
then
she stepped
paid
right in
the
front of
other
me.
driver.
Sean, tell me about Japan Studio. What happened there? What,
You know, first off, it was obviously a business decision because a lot of those games, as much as people on Twitter love them. Look, here's the thing. If you see like a big opinion on Twitter, think the opposite because Twitter is like an echo chamber. Outrage about Pokemon, Sword and Shield, the game sucks, sells 1 billion copies.
N64 tree was in there, yeah.
I'm not happy about the Switch OLED. It'll sell 1 billion copies. Oh, Metroid Dread is going to be great. It'll sell 5 copies.
Go back. I thought people still wanted to go sell.
Undo.
No, so like, people love those games, but they didn't sell. But like really, most of the company, it seems like, got absorbed into the Asabi, I think that's how it's pronounced, the people who did Astro's Playroom, and then the people who didn't go with that went to another studio that I can't recall the name of it, but the
Bokeh or something.
yeah, Bokeh. And those people, it's headed by the guy who did Gravity Rush and Silent Hill as well. And now they're already teasing like a horror game in the style for fans of games like Silent Hill. So, I mean, yes, on paper, it makes for a great headline. And on paper, it sounds like a big deal. But I mean, really, has Sony given a shit about their Japanese stuff since like the
No.
PlayStation 3? maybe the Vita.
PS4. They did Shadow of Colossus, that remake, complete remake.
True. That was
$40, one of the best
great.
games.
How did it sell?
Nobody bought the game. Yeah, nobody bought the game. So
Nobody bought it.
It was good.
I bought 2 copies, but I'm just saying
great.
like
Knack.
They-
Knack 2.
Knack
baby.
2.
Everybody's
and
golf.
They also had Gravity Rush 1. They
Who was
remastered
talking
Gravity
smack on
Rush.
Loco Roco?
Yeah.
Can you really do that?
I
Loco
can't.
Roco, Sean.
They remastered Gravity Rush 2. They remastered Gravity Rush and
The
they
Last
did
Guardian?
Gravity Rush 2, Last Guardian. They finally got that game out.
And that's fine, but still, from a business perspective, I mean, it was obviously, a chain is only as strong as the weakest link. And that sounds like a very profound statement, but I'm pretty sure that was an Alien Workshop
Sean.
skateboard T-shirt from back in the
Sean,
day.
they made Patapon, Sean.
Okay, and how did that sell? You have to look at it from
Let me ask you this: how's Dream selling?
not very well,
Media Molecule still rolling along?
but that's their latest game.
I thought we were making business decisions around here.
From a business decision, like maybe they should.
Okay, don't do that. They just need to bring that game to
Speaking
PC.
of a business decision, I just did the stupidest thing.
What's that?
I bought a cameo of one of my favorite wrestlers who just like cusses a lot. Did you watch Dark Side of the Ring?
No,
I do.
Did you see the Nick Gage episode?
I did.
I just bought a cameo from Nick Gage so that he'll swear at me and congratulate me for getting verified on Twitter because I thought it would be funny.
So
That was a good business decision.
Oh my
okay,
God.
yeah. I mean, obviously these games weren't selling.
Right.
Everyone kind of understands that. So yeah, Jim Ryan, he rolled in there. It's like, who wants to even play these games? And he just shut them down.
Well,
That was
okay,
pretty
so
much
how many,
it.
did they say how many like jobs people, how many lost jobs there were versus like how many got brought into other studios?
I think a vast majority of them either went with the Gravity Rush director or got absorbed into the
So the
Astro's Playroom
majority,
team.
they weren't just like let go. It was just that specific location. Okay, that makes me feel better about it because I just thought a whole bunch of people.
I mean,
lost
I don't think they really said who went where.
They never
necessarily.
said
but-
like in terms of like the other staff. They said that the rest whoever wants to go will be absorbed, but there was a number of high profile. So the people that did the producers, the guys that were actually brought these games in terms of their vision, like Casey Hudson, BioWare or whatever. You know what I'm saying? It'd be like the same as he left EA, right? It's like the same thing as like, but for them, the people who made Gravity Rush, the people who were there from the very beginning were let go. Like the ones that make all the creative, cool games. And like I get it. I understand like Team Asobi, like they're gonna do Astrobot and all that, but it's just not it's not cool. I mean, people want to see games like Advance Wars, all these games that barely sold. People want to see all that stuff come back, right? We hear people yelling about that stuff, and that's essentially what's going on here. Those games are probably not going to be coming back. Here's my problem.
Here's my question with this, though. All right, so this all of a sudden happened when they had their shift at the top at leadership with Jim Ryan coming in and Sean Layden going out with Andrew House and all of this. I almost wonder if Japan Studio would still be around if Sean Layden was still running things there.
Yes. Have you seen his Twitter account?
Yeah.
Have you seen
He's pretty vocal on it. Yeah, he's pretty vocal.
He would have kept maybe they would have downsized. Maybe they would have done something. But they wouldn't have been washed like they got. I mean, like they eradicated them, and it looks like all of their old IPs, all of the stuff, like maybe those get brought back one of these days. But like I understand, like I get it's a business. Like I completely get Jim Ryan, business dude. But yeah, it's just unfortunate for those like me. Like I grew up on playing a lot of the old school, like Legend of Dragoon and Dark Cloud, and a lot of these games that Sony Japan Studio either made or helped make. You also have to look at the other stuff, like they helped make Bloodborne, they helped do other things too. So I mean, like they didn't just provide their own games, but they also helped out with bigger games, that Sony made. So that's unfortunately gone. I think Sony's just going to start paying for like, oh, we just want Final Fantasy 16 now. Like they're not going to get their studios to team up to do some of the cool stuff that they've done, like the Dark Cloud series, which is fantastic.
Lamb or Unjam or Lammy.
There you go.
I never played that. Oh, they did the Grand Stream Saga. I loved that game.
They did a lot of stuff. Like if you go under like their Wikipedia, they list a lot of the stuff. Like I mean, they have
Intelligent Cube. That's a good one.
Yeah, they have Arc the Lad listed on there because they ran support for stuff too, just helping out with certain games. Like all the Wild Arms are listed on here, for example, where they helped with them.
I know we're pointing out that we were hoping they'd be around to bring back the older games, but if you just look at that list, they're a creative force for bringing new things into play, which is dangerous because you can bring stuff out that no one plays. But this is basically, it feels like Sony doubling down on, we don't give a shit about other titles. We just want the titles that are already working for us right now. Those are the only titles we care about. So it just doesn't feel good.
They obviously
to a degree all companies do, right? I mean, like to be fair, to a degree all companies do.
But like new IP is always important in companies. A lot of movie companies actually put on comic book conventions to basically steal ideas from writers and stuff that go there for really cheap, just so they can have more ideas and IP that's under their name.
Well,
so
I mean, we're gonna find out because a lot of them went to Team Asabi. And we'll see what they put out because they could, for all we know, come out with some weird game. They could come out with a big 3D Astrobot game, which would be really cool as long as it's not tied to VR so more people can play it. And hey, if they do that and it looks super creative and really cool, then I think most people would be okay with the decision. But it is a shame because you're not going to see some of these weird games get created anymore is what I'll say. These
you always kind of hope one of the heads of the companies just has like a nightmare, wakes up, and now we have a new game just coming out that we've never seen before.
These creative games that obviously have a lot of Japanese influence in them, basically. It's probably not going to be something you're going to see. Like Puppeteer was such a cool game, and no one played it. It's like no one played it.
Well, I was going to ask because I know like a lot of people specifically were really sad about like Gravity Rush and stuff. Like, and maybe this is a stretch a little bit, but do you feel like if Gravity Rush was able to come out on the Switch, do you think that game would do very well?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. It has that art style that a lot of Switch owners like.
There's just certain things that I don't think it'd be like gangbusters. It wouldn't do like 10 million or anything, but I think that there's just certain styles that just work better for audiences. And Gravity Rush is that character. Gravity Rush is one of those things. Like you hear what some Sony fans say about these games. When they shut down, they're like some of the core. I mean, you can't always look at Twitter and stuff, but they're like, oh, well, their games suck. I don't like them. Who cares? You know what I'm saying? I just want to play God of War is the best. But that's how a lot of, and that's how they're buying. It's not just them saying like that's how the sales look too. So everybody just likes God of War. Everyone likes Horizon. Everybody likes Uncharted and these other games. Well, these games, nobody buys these. Like it's not even like a million, like 2-3 million. It's like nobody. It's like under $1 million for like big, like Gravity Rush 2. Like
it's like hundreds of thousands.
Yeah, it's like hundreds. It's like they sold terrible on a 100 million plus install base. Like for the quality of that game. So it's not just people saying. It's like actual facts. Yeah, people aren't buying this at all. No.
I think I've been analyzing more. Like it always seems like someone's upset about something about some Nintendo Direct. And like it really makes me think about just how many genres and different types of games the Switch has to where people can be upset because whatever they wanted didn't show up at this specific Direct, but it's probably going to show up at another one. Versus a lot of people who are more pinpoint to the fact where like with Sony, like they're shutting down specific niches that just aren't working in general. Like I think with the Switch, you can have much more variety. And I think it's kind of blowing my mind how there is something for everyone. You know, even like the last Direct, I think that really showed it. Some of the things like didn't necessarily touch my heart, but like to see everybody else ecstatic about it, it's like, dude, how cool are we in with the Switch specifically that, you know, we can kind of have this variety. I don't know. I'm ranting, but it's pretty cool.
But I think that's going to do it here for the Spawncast today. Let me go around here. Max, where can everyone find you?
youtube.com/dreamcastguy. I just put up a video for Monster Hunter Stories 2. I feel like that's going to be a more niche game. So if you want to see a lesser known RPG that's very unique, go watch my video.
Okay, cool. And then OJ, where can everyone find you?
YouTube, got some cool stuff that I'm planning with Nintendo for Monster Hunter Stories 2 as well. So watch that if I'm streaming right now. And if not, you can just check it out on my channel later. So I do appreciate that. And thanks for having me on once again. So you can and also I'm on Twitter where I have the best Twitter account at Player Essence. So you can follow me on there. And
all he tweets is jokes. He labels all of his jokes.
Every single thing's a joke, baby.
And Click, where can everyone find you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. You could find me here on YouTube as Miss Click Gaming, or I'm live basically every day on Twitch where we do a variety of things. But right now we're still playing through Mass Effect 2. I guess this is coming out on Saturday, normal time. So I'll be back later on in the week. I'll be out of town for some stuff. But yeah, we'll pick up with Mass Effect 2, having a lot of fun. Other than that, you can find me on Instagram and Twitter as just Miss Click.
What about Sean?
Well, depending on what day of the week it is, you might be able to find me on YouTube trending gaming. I was on there this past week. Now you can find me on RGT
Starburst.
all because of a bag of Starburst. Now you can find me on RGT85. Follow me on Twitter. Because if you want to see that cameo that I bought, it'll be up on Twitter.
Oh, wait, what? Okay, cool. I'm gonna check it out.
That's legitimately the only reason I bought it, just because I wanted to post it on Twitter and laugh at it. I mean, $25 to laugh, like that's like a movie ticket and like a popcorn or something, a bag of Starburst.
Oh, that's worth it for 25 beans. Yeah, that's worth it.
$25. I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can find me, troll you once Metroid comes out. I'm definitely gonna do that. And troll the hell out of you. Let's do it.
Wood once did that with Billy Gunn. He had Billy Gunn say that I sucked. I was like, okay, but it cost him like $100 because Billy Gunn's a big name. But yeah, you can find me on RGT85 on all corners of the internet.
Cool. And then what about Evan?
Twitter at Kimrex Project. If I got anything going on, I usually post there. Random indie games I run into when I'm streaming, stuff like that.
All right, cool. That's going to do it here for us. We'll be back next weekend, Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We will be live then. I'll see everyone then.